dignitaries from all walks of life, members of the university community, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of Adekunle University, Akungba, Professor Oluyinka, I warmly welcome you all to the 56th inaugural lecture of this Citadel of Learning. And if this is your first time on our campus, welcome to one of the leading names in the Committee of Varsities in Nigeria and beyond. Welcome to Adekunle University, where we are building a 21st century university properly called. It is this 56th inaugural lecture is titled, God Made the Earth, Humans Made the Town. It will be delivered by a professor of applied social and environmental psychology, Oluyinka, Akanmu, Ojedokun. Let me also tell you that today's lecture is the sixth in the Faculty of the Social Sciences. Today's lecture is also the fourth in the Department of Pure and Applied Psychology. It is our expectation that we find the lecture educative and of immense value. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, it is now time to present the inaugural lecturer. As I invite you to please join me to welcome the chairman of this event, the Vice Chancellor of this noble university, Professor Oluyinka.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, the representative of the Bossa, and the University Librarian, deans of faculties, directors, heads of departments and units, the inaugural lecturer, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to welcome you all to the 56th inaugural lecture of Adekunle University, Akungba, Ondo State. It is also with a deep sense of fulfillment that I welcome you to the 48th edition I will be presiding over since my assumption of office as Vice Chancellor of this great institution. Inaugural lecture is not merely a ritual or a ceremonial formality in the academic calendar. It is a proud tradition where a professor presents the harvest of years of research, reflection, and discovery to the public. It's a moment of accountability where the scholar lays bare his or her contributions to knowledge, defends his or her intellectual turf, and demonstrates how a lifetime of work advances human understanding. For the university, it is a celebration of institutional excellence. For the audience, it is a rare opportunity to witness knowledge being born, challenged, and refined in real time. Today, we are gathered for what I am certain will be a profound exploration of the world we have built and the world that was given to us. We are privileged to feast on the ideas of one of our own, whose lecture bears a title both poetic and provocative. God made the earth, humans made the town. When I first read these words, I was struck by their simplicity and their depth. It reads like the opening line of an ancient proverb, yet it speaks directly to the most pressing challenges of our modern age. The title frames a profound tension, a perfect, defined gift. The earth, standing against the complex, often imperfect world we have built atop of it, which is the town. To guide us on this intellectual discourse, we have a scholar perfectly equipped for the task. He is Professor Oluyinka Ojedokun. A distinguished professor of applied social and environmental psychology from the Department of Pure and Applied Psychology. Professor Ojedokun, just wait. Just wait. And face the public. Okay, one year. Until after I have read your citation, then you will come here. Professor Oluyinka, are you here? Oh, it's Lenny. Professor Ojedokun earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Ibadan, 1998, followed by a master's degree in social and personality psychology in 2002, and a PhD in the same field in 2009. He joined the services of Adekunle Ajashin University as a lecturer 1, the Department of Pure and Applied Psychology in 2010, and rose steadily through the ranks to be appointed professor in 2019. Beyond research and teaching, Professor Ojedokun has served the institution in several capacities at various times, including acting head of department, coordinator of postgraduate academic programs, and departmental seminar coordinator. His administrative roles have also included editor of Social and Management Scientists, pre-degree coordinator for the Social and Management Sciences, and chairman of the FSMS Journal Club. Prolific researcher, Professor Ojedokun has authored 75 published articles and contributed to 13 books and served as editor of 2 others. He has attended and presented papers at 16 conferences, both locally and internationally, in countries such as South Africa, in Thailand, in Norway, in Uganda, in Turkey, and the Netherlands. Professor Ojedokun's professional experience beyond his home university includes serving as external examiner at the Faculty of Community and Health Sciences, University of the Western Cape, and in the Department of Public Health and Family Medicine at the University of Cape Town, both in South Africa. He is also an external moderator at the University of Western Cape, a research associate at the University of Pretoria, an article editor for Sage Open Journal, and an overseas associate editor for the Asia Pacific Journal of Management and Entrepreneurial Research. In recognition of his distinguished contribution to research, Professor Ojedokun has received several prestigious grants, fellowships, and awards. These include research grants and a laureateship from the Council for the Development of Social Science Research in Africa, I think that's CODESRA, 2017-2018, research grants from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, 2016-2017, and a postdoctoral fellowship at the Northwest University, South Africa, 2013-2015. He holds membership in several professional bodies, including the Nigerian Psychological Association, APA, the American Psychological Association, APA, the Association for Psychological Science, APS, and the International Society for the Study of Behavioral Development, IASBD. He also serves on the Board of Trustees for the Positive Psychology Association of Nigeria and the Nigerian Association of Social Psychologists. On behalf of this great university, we wish to express our profound gratitude for your selfless service to this institution. Thank you for your dedication and your unwavering commitment to excellence, and we also congratulate you on this well-deserved milestone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to invite you to give your full attention to Professor Oluyinka Ojedokun as he delivers the 56th inaugural lecture of this university titled, God Made the Earth, Who Has Made the Town. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
The Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Administration, the Registrar and other Principal Officers, Deans of the Postgraduate School, Dean, Faculty of the Social Sciences, Deans of other faculties, and Dean, Student Affairs, Directors of Institutes and Units, Heads of Departments, Distinguished Professors, past inaugural lecturers, Heads of Administrative Unit, distinguished academics and administrators, friends, colleagues, and staff from other universities and institutions, my God-given family and extended family members, Your Royal Majesties, my Lords spiritual and temporal, distinguished invited guests, my great student of Adekunle University, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I give God the glory, honor, power, and majesty for the knowledge bestowed on me, and I feel honored to have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of being a professor to deliver the 56th inaugural lecture of this award-winning university. Today's lecture is the sixth to be delivered in the Faculty of the Social Sciences. It is the fourth in the Department of Pure and Applied Psychology and the first from the area of Applied Social and Environmental Psychology. I acknowledge the privilege to have the unique opportunity of standing on this great podium and give a modest summary of my contribution to knowledge in my field of research in the past 2 decades. The inaugural lecture. In line with global practice, an inaugural lecture is an important rite of passage in any university, serving two primary purposes. It is an opportunity for the university as an institution to induct and introduce its new academic appointee to the university community, to the local community, and to the general public for the appointee. It signifies a first formal opportunity to highlight his contributions to scholarship and intention regarding the future of discipline, to which he is expected to provide academic leadership and to initiate research. It may be likened to AAUA, that is Chief Transit Conferment, marking 2004, or christening a newborn, and just like the 8-day christening in the Yoruba cultural setting, it is regarded as an obligatory final right and outstanding debt a professor is expected to pay to the university committee, which should be paid before disengagement from the system, ceteris paribus. The personal context. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, all of us are shaped by our time and place, by our backgrounds, circumstances, and opportunities. I stand before you today as a bundle of miracle, and indeed as a product of divine mercy. As the first child of my mother and the third child of my father, I almost missed the opportunity of a university education. After completing my secondary school, this was not due to any lack of academic ability, but rather the harsh reality of financial constraints rooted in my family background. Therefore, upon completing secondary school in 1986, I stayed at home to sell newspapers, in addition to working on the farm with my mother to support the family. Consequently, I could not commence my university education until 6 years after finishing grammar school, the foundations of my academic career. I was admitted to pursue a 4-year Bachelor of Science degree in psychology at the prestigious University of Ibadan in the 1992-1993 academic session. By year 2000, I gained admission to study for a master's degree in social and personality psychology in the same university. Following the completion of my master's degree in 2002, I was appointed as a teaching assistant in the General Study Program, Social Science Cluster at the University of Ibadan, where I taught and participated in exhibition grading under the supervision of Program Coordinator. I began my PhD program in 2005, and shortly after completing the coursework, I secured my first permanent academic appointment as an assistant lecturer at Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agowoye, Ogun State. I was awarded a PhD degree in 2009. In 2009, I joined this City University, Ibadan, with 2 of my colleagues at Agowoye to establish the Department of Psychology. In 2010, I was appointed a lecturer 1 in the Department of Peer and Applied Psychology at Adekunle University, Akungba, Ondo State, Nigeria. Over the course of 2 decades, my scholarly output grew from a single publication to over 80 peer-reviewed articles and chapters in books, and by 2019, I attained the rank of a professor. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, indeed, the scripture which declares, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts, Secretariat forces, all true for my life. Today, this child, who was once delayed by circumstances, is standing before you as a time-tested, resilient, and capable professor by the grace of God. I'm a living testimony that great grace can rewrite destiny. Introduction. Why the title? Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, choosing a title for an inaugural lecture in social psychology is much like keeping a New Year's resolution. Far easier said than done. Social psychology is an unusually broad discipline concerned with how human thought, feeling, and behavior are shaped by the social and physical world we inhabit, and how in turn our behavior reshape those worlds. This breadth is sometimes seen as a weakness, but in truth, it is the discipline's greatest strength. Across its many areas, prejudice, hate behavior, cooperation, male sexual jealousy, and environmental sustainability, the unified concern of social psychology is the interface between people and their environment. Over the years, my own scholarship has been guided by this interface, particularly by our interest in how everyday, often mundane and habitual action accumulate to transform natural environment into spaces and, in many cases, into degraded ones. Wherever you go, there you are. This whole saying is a way of conveying the idea that no matter what you do, whether interacting with others or alone, and no matter what behavior or thought you are engaged in, you do it somewhere in the physical environment. These spaces influence our behavior, well-being, and social relations. At the same time, our action, individually and collectively, profoundly shape this environment, sometimes positively, but often harmfully. From this perspective, cities and campuses are not just physical structures. They are psychological products, shaped by human values, choices, and norms. Mr. Vice sir, it is from this standpoint that the title of my inaugural lecture emerges. God made the head, human made the tongue. The title captures a simple but profound idea while the act may be divinely endowed, the condition in which it exists today is largely a consequence of human behavior. Understanding, explaining, and transforming that behavior is where social psychology finds its enduring relevance in the environmental discourse. Choosing social psychology and responsible environmental behavior. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, after completing my undergraduate psychology program, I was admitted to the master degree program in psychology. I noticed that many of my peers at the University of Ibadan were gravitating toward clinical and industrial organizational psychology for perceived job security. I chose a path less traveled, social and personality psychology, a field that many students dismiss as desert of psychology. But I believe that it has something important to say about real social societal problems. Sir, as a young researcher, I wanted to change the world. And my goal was to conduct research that addresses the needs of society. My initial proposal was on an abstract experimentation on the study of effect of psychosocial factors on false memory among university students. However, the red flags pointed out by my supervisor, Professor Shingu Kolawole Balogun, amounted to a technical knockout of the proposed research idea. Thereafter, I started searching for a research problem that was theoretically grounded, methodologically feasible, and socially relevant. My breakthrough came when I stumbled on Cottre's 2003 article titled Influence of Social Demographic and Environmental Attitude on Gender Responsible Environmental Behavior among Recreational Voters. The theoretical logic underpinning Cottre's title and how environmental problems were seen not as failures of infrastructure or policy alone, but as outcome of human behavior and underlying psychological processes caught my fancy. This perspective resonated with my long-standing observation of everyday environmental problems in Ibadan, particularly littering and neglect of shared spaces, problems that persist despite policies and technical intervention. It became clear to me that sustainable solutions require understanding the psychological process underlying how people relate to their environment. This realization marked the beginning of my enduring engagement with environmental psychology. It shifted my scholarly focus from isolated cognitive phenomena to socially embedded behavior, and from abstract experimentation to theory-driven, content-sensitive inquiry. Working with this framework allowed me to examine how psychological factors and temporal orientation interact with emotional responses to shape responsible environmental behavior. Mr. Vice, sir, you may at this point wonder, what does social psychology have to do with the environment? If you were to turn the clock back a few decades and pose this question to many environmental scientists, the likely response would have been nothing. For a long time, engineering solutions, technological innovation, and regulatory framework have been promoted as primary responses to a wide range of societal problems, including environmental problems. In particular, environmental problems were largely conceived as belonging to a purely physical and technical domain. Consequently, discourse on environmental problems in the media and among policymakers has remained factually silent on human behavior, which has often been treated as periphery, if not irrelevant, to environmental problem solving. However, this narrow problem solution perspective has gradually given way to a broader model as environmental problems have persisted despite increasingly sophisticated policies and technological innovations. This persistence made it evident that the missing link was not a lack of scientific knowledge or technological capacity, techno-salvation, but insufficient attention to the human factor. Environmental problem, it was increasingly realized, are fundamentally problems of human behavior. They are shaped by how people perceive the environment, the value they endorse, the norms they internalize, and the choices they make in their everyday lives. This is why social psychology becomes indispensable. By interrogating the psychological process behind the environmental decision, the discipline offers deep insight into why people act responsibly or irresponsibly towards their environment, and how behavior change can be achieved. It is firmly within this rich intellectual tradition that my research trajectory is located. Define creation and human activities. Mr. Vice Sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this lecture begins from the premise that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. And having completed his creative work, God saw everything he had made, and behold, it was very good, Genesis 1:31. With these words, the foundation of the natural world was laid, a perfect and balanced creation, filled with beauty, resources, and life. This Bible quotation suggests that many cultural, religious, and philosophical traditions hold that the natural earth, as originally created by God, existed in a state of balance and sufficiency, capable of sustaining life without environmental problems. The natural world, a divine masterpiece, was entrusted to humanity as steward of a beauty and bounty. Yet, alongside this creation, as humanity grew and evolved, human began to leave their hallmark on the earth, constructing towns and cities, shaping the earth to meet its needs. Mr. Vice Sir, urban spaces, unlike natural ecosystems, are largely social constructions, which reflect human choices, values, and behavior expressed through population concentration, economic activities, infrastructural development, and daily practices in public places. While towns and cities enable economic growth and social interaction, they also generate environmental challenges, such as waste accumulation, pollution, overcrowding, and the degradation of shared spaces. These problems do not emerge automatically from urbanization itself, but from how people behave within urban environment. That is, how resources are used, how waste is managed, and how public spaces are treated. If environmental problems have their origin in pattern of behavior, then any solution to environmental issue will require changes in behavior. Mr. Vice Sir, as we gather here this afternoon, we face an important question. How can humanity rule as creator and builder of cities and towns align with its responsibility to care for the earth? This question lies at the core of responsible environmental behavior, my research area, and is particularly relevant within the framework of pro-environmental behavior, which aim to bridge the gap between development and environmental sustainability. The earth, as the psalmist declare, is the Lord, and everything in it. Psalm 24:1. Yet man, in his quest for progress and entrepreneurial activities, has carved out spaces for living, working, and thriving. Towns, cities, and industry are testimony to human creativity and ambition. But as the African proverb reminds us, no matter how far a river flows, it never forgets its source. Humanity's source is the earth, and it remains the foundation of our survival. As humans all build, expand, and urbanize, the question arises, have humans forgotten the earth's limit, or are we still acting as steward of this divine gift? This question lies at the heart of behavior change, particularly the adoption of responsible environmental behavior, which represents a critical pathway towards environmental sustainability. Environmental protection, therefore, depends not only on technological solutions or policy interventions, but also on understanding and influencing human behavior in everyday urban and rural contexts. This argument is especially relevant in the context of urban Africa, where rapid urbanization is occurring alongside population growth, economic transition, and limited waste management infrastructure. In Nigeria, one of Africa's most rapidly urbanizing countries, environmental problems in towns and cities are highly visible in daily life. Issues such as indiscriminate waste disposal, blocked drainage system, flooding, and the neglect of shared space are common features of urban environment. While these problems are often attributed to government failure, hand-of-pipe solutions, or infrastructural deficits, they are also deeply embedded in pattern of human behavior within public spaces. Therefore, understanding why humans engage in offended environmental practices and how they can be encouraged to adopt responsible environmental behavior is essential for addressing Nigeria's urban environmental challenges. Mr. Fatal, sir, the title of my inaugural lecture, God Made the Earth, Humans Made the Town, is both a metaphor and a challenge. It reminds us that while we did not create the earth, but we are responsible for what we make of it. Thus, the profound theme of my inaugural lecture reflects the intersection between divine creation and human activities in the city and towns, a relationship that holds both promise and peril. This lecture promises not only to challenge our perspective, but also to inspire actionable solutions that harmonize humanity's creative capacity with the responsibility to care for the earth. Conceptual understanding of responsible environmental behavior. Psychology has always insisted on conceptual clarity, recognizing that how a phenomenon is defined determines how it is studied and understood. Within this tradition, responsible environmental is approached not as a fake moral idea, but as a theoretically grounded construct. Responsible environmental, REB, has become a central concept in environmental psychology, reflecting the growing recognition that environmental problems are not merely technical or policy failures, but fundamentally behavioral and social challenges. Broadly, REB refers to deliberate, voluntary, and socially informed action undertaken to minimize environmental harm and promote sustainability. This action includes harm-reducing behavior and practices that enhance long-term environmental quality. Ojedokun 2009A defined REB as conscious action that prevent the intentional or unintentional disposal of waste on bare ground. This definition reflects the importance of contextualizing environmental behavior within specific social and cultural realities. Although related concepts such as pro-environmental behavior and environmentally significant behavior are often used interchangeably, REB places greater emphasis on intentionality, responsibility, and the social grounding of environmental action. Mr. Fatal, sir, my scholarly contributions are grounded in a sustained effort to advance understanding of responsible environmental behavior as it is lived, negotiated, and enacted within everyday social spaces. I work from a simple but powerful assumption: if humans are capable of creating environmental problems, they are equally capable of addressing them through behavior change. Consequently, my research moves beyond abstract or purely attitudinal accounts of environmental concern to foreground behavior in context, paying particular attention to how social norms, institutional environments, and psychological processes shape responsible environmental action. My research on responsible environmental behavior spans 4 interrelated domains: literacy prevention behavior in community setting, literacy prevention behavior in the university context, organizational citizenship behavior for the environment within university, and the development of psychometrically sound measure of literacy prevention behavior and attitude. Across this domain, my work advances conceptual clarity, provide empirical evidence from Nigerian context, and demonstrates methodological rigor. Why literacy prevention behavior matter? A behavioral perspective. Literary prevention behavior refers to deliberate and voluntary action through which individual ensure the proper disposal of handheld waste and actively avoid littering, while also discouraging others from doing so. Ojedokun 2016. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, littering is perhaps the most visible and persistent form of environmental damage, yet it remains one of the least systematically studied environmental problems. Unlike large-scale environmental challenges such as climate change, littering is produced through routine, everyday behavior enacted in homes, streets, and campuses. Over time, this behavior become habitual and are often performed on autopilot, making them particularly resistant to change. This reality underscores that littering is not merely an environmental issue, but fundamentally a behavioral one. My motivation to study littering prevention behavior is rooted in the conviction that responsible environmental behavior does not occur by chance. Rather, it can be intentionally cultivated through interaction between individual psychological process, psychosocial disposition, and the social and physical environment within which behavior occurs. When these positions are supported by enabling infrastructure, clear institutional cue, and context-sensitive intervention, individuals are more likely to interrupt habitual behavior and act responsibly. Littering prevention behavior in community settings. My early empirical work examines littering prevention behavior among residents of Ibadan Metropolis using a cross-sectional survey. Ojedokun 2011A found that attitude toward littering, age, gender, and education jointly predicted responsible environmental behavior. In particular, a negative attitude toward littering emerged as a strong predictor of littering prevention behavior, highlighting the importance of attitudinal processes in shaping everyday environmental action. Ojedokun 2010 demonstrated that attitude toward littering mediates the relation between self-concept, environmental self-efficacy, and responsible environmental behavior. Individuals with stronger self-concepts and high environmental self-efficacy reported more negative attitude towards littering, which in turn promoted responsible behavior. This finding underscores how personal dispositions are translated into action through attitudinal mechanisms. Extending this line of inquiry, Ojedokun 2011B showed that personality attributes such as altruism and locus of control influence responsible environmental behavior. Indirectly, through attitude towards littering, individuals who are more altruistic and possess a stronger internal locus of control are more likely to reject littering and behave responsibly. This finding points to the importance of cultivating values of communal concern and personal agency in environmental interventions. Recognizing that effective waste management policies must be grounded in the understanding of public attitude. Ojedokun 2011B conducted a psycho-sociocultural analysis of attitude towards littering. The results show that altruism, environmental self-efficacy, self-concept, locus of control, and education explain substantial variation in littering attitude. This work demonstrates that sustainable waste management requires more than infrastructure and enforcement. It also requires structural psychosocial intervention that targets beliefs, values, and perceived responsibility. In subsequent studies, Ojedokun 2012-2013 identified environmental self-efficacy as the strongest predictor of littering prevention behavior, followed by self-concept. These findings highlight that beyond their awareness or skills, individuals must believe in their capacity to act responsibly. Those with low perceived capability are less likely to initiate or sustain pro-environmental behavior. Based on these cumulative findings, I propose an integrated intervention framework combining cognitive, social, technical, and legal strategy for promoting littering prevention behavior. Ojedokun and Balu 2013, see figure 1, demonstrated that attitude toward littering partially mediates the relationship between self-monitoring and responsible environmental behavior. Individuals who are more attentive to how they present themselves develop stronger anti-littering attitude, which in turn promotes responsible action. This finding further reinforces the central role of attitudinal processes in linking individual disposition to observable environmental behavior. Taken together, this contribution advances understanding of littering prevention behavior as a socially embedded, psychologically mediated, and content-sensitive form of responsible environmental behavior with clear implications for policy, community intervention, and sustainable urban environmental management in Nigeria. In a study applying the theory of planned behavior to littering prevention behavior among residents of Akure, Ojedokun 2022 demonstrated that behavioral intention is a central driver of littering prevention behavior, with passive behavior control emerging as the strongest influence on intention. See figure 2. This finding underscores the importance of individuals' belief about their capacity to act responsibly in shaping whether they actually do so. The implication is clear. Intervention strategies that strengthen residents' sense of control over their environmental action are likely to enhance intention to prevent littering and ultimately reduce littering behavior. Accordingly, practical programs should prioritize increasing passive behavioral control through skill training in waste management, provision of accessible disposal facility, promotion of environmental self-efficacy, and encouragement of active participation in community sanitation initiatives. This strategy can be effectively delivered through community workshops, schools, and youth-led clean-up campaigns, public awareness programs, and collaborative efforts involving local authorities, community leaders, and environmental NGOs. Littering prevention behavior in the university council. Mr. Fachajo, sir, my interest in littering prevention behavior within the university setting arose from observing everyday littering practices on the campus of Adekunle University, alongside the persistent efforts of university management to maintain a clean environment. These challenges is not unique to AAUA. Across developing countries, universities increasingly struggle with campus litter pollution. Even where waste management system exists, study consistently identify students as major contributors to campus littering, as well as key targets for intervention. University environment intensify this challenge because students move continuously between academic, residential, and social spaces, generating waste from packaged food, drinks, and learning materials, often under time pressure and convenience-driven routines. Responsible environmental behavior inherently require a future-oriented mindset involving small present costs such as effort, inconvenience, or restraint for delay and collective environmental benefits. In psychology, future time perspective capture individual differences in how people think about, value, and invest in their future. Future time perspective comprises 6 dimensions: future positive, future negative, future confusion, future perseverance, and future perspicuity, and future planning. These dimensions reflect both affective evaluation of the future and motivational tendencies toward persistent clarity and planning. University students constitute a particularly relevant group for examining these dynamics as they are actively shaping their future trajectory while engaging daily in campus-based environmental practices. literary preferential behavior, whose benefits are largely future-oriented and collective, is therefore likely to be influenced by students' future time perspective. Against this background, I pose a simple but important question: how does future time perspective shape literary preferential behavior in everyday situation where immediate convenience competes with long-term environmental well-being? To address this question, I examine the relation between future time perspective dimensions and literary preferential behavior among 480 students of Adekunle Ajasin University using multiple linear regression, the results of which are presented in Table 1. The results as presented indicate that future positive, future perseverance, future perspicuity, and future planning orientations significantly promote literary preferential behavior, whereas future negative and future confusion orientation do not. This pattern highlights the practical relevance of time perspective-based intervention in advancing campus environmental sustainability. Students with a future positive orientation are more inclined to engage in literary prevention, suggesting that universities can reinforce such behavior through recognition scheme and by framing cleanness as part of a positive vision for a sustainable campus and Nigeria. Future perseverance students, being goal-driven and persistent, can be mobilized as leaders in sustainability clubs and peer monitoring initiatives to sustain anti-littering campaign. In addition, future perspicuity, that is, clarity about future goals, enables students to connect present action with long-term environmental outcome. This can be strengthened through visually engaging messages and scenario-based activities that make future consequences more tangible. Finally, the influence of future planning underscores the value of structured behavioral support, such as clearly mapped disposal points, color-coded bin, and simple prompts that make responsible waste disposal easier and habitual. Overall, these findings show that when ecological concern is supported by positive future orientation, perseverance, clarity, and planning, it is more likely to translate into sustainable pro-environmental behavior. Ojedokun 2026A. Mr. President, sir, thinking about the future alone is not always sufficient to produce action. As environmental risks become more visible, many individuals experience eco-anxiety, characterized by persistent worry and distress about environmental degradation. Ojedokun 2026B examine eco-anxiety as the psychological bridge linking future time perspective to literary prevention behavior, using serial multiple mediation analysis with process micro 3.2. The results show that future-oriented thinking translates into everyday environmental responsibility, partly through emotional engagement with environmental threat. Overall, the model, Table 2 to 7, was significant, highlighting the combined role of future-oriented conclusion and affective process in shaping literary prevention behavior. The finding further revealed that eco-anxiety operates in distinct form with divergent behavioral consequences. Mr. Vice, the mediating role of eco-anxiety demonstrates that not all ecological concern is equally beneficial. Habitual ecological worry can motivate responsibility and action, whereas excessive focus on perceived negative consequences may overwhelm individual and inhibit behavior. To harness functional eco-anxiety, lecturers, deans, and departmental head should present environmental risk alongside clear and achievable action. Student union leaders can reinforce these messages through peer-led micro-challenges, weekly reminders, and demonstration sessions that sustain engagement without triggering maladaptive anxiety. At the institutional level, these findings suggest that university administrator and curriculum planner can enhance future-oriented sustainability goals within academic curricula, student development program, and campus culture, integrating short modules of future thinking planning skill, and constructive eco-anxiety management into general study, civic education courses, or orientation program will build students' capacity to engage with environmental threats without disengagement. Framing littering prevention behavior as an investment in personal, campus, and national futures will reinforce motivation across student groups and enhance the long-term part of intervention. Overall, by aligning sustainability initiatives with students' future profile and emotional response to environmental threats, university stakeholders such as management team, lecturers, student leaders, and students can implement inclusive and psychologically informed strategies for littering prevention behavior. Such approaches not only improve campus waste management, but also equip students with enduring motivation and self-regulatory capacity that supports pro-environmental behavior beyond the university context. Organizational citizenship behavior for the environment. Mr. President, sir, universities occupy a unique moral and intellectual space in society. They are producers of knowledge, shapers of value, and examples of social responsibility. Yet, the environmental sustainability of our campus depends not only on formal policy, but also on the voluntary discretionary action of staff and students. My scholarly contribution to OCBE advances understanding of the psychological and contextual factors that motivate university community members to go beyond prescribed role in protecting the environment. Ojedokun 2018 extended the OCB framework to the university context by examining the independent and joint influence of the big five personality traits: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neutrality, along age and gender on 3 dimensions of OCB. Among students of Adekunle University, these dimensions include eco-initiative, eco-helping, and eco-civic management. The finding revealed that openness to experience and agreeableness were more strongly associated with eco-initiative and eco-helping, while openness to experience, conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness were more strongly related to eco-civic engagement. Age also emerged as a consistent predator across all 3 OCB dimensions. See table 8. Collectively, these results underscore the importance of individual differences in shaping voluntary environmental action and provide a psychological foundation for designing intervention that mobilize students as active environmental citizens within the university system. On the basis of this finding, it was recommended that campus sustainability initiatives should prioritize creating enabling environment that activates and channels students' dispositional strength by aligning institutional opportunity with personality-driven motivation. Universities can foster sustained environmental citizenship and strengthen overall campus sustainability outcomes. Building on earlier evidence that voluntary environmental behavior in institutional setting is shaped by individual psychological characteristics, Ojedokun 2020 extended this line of inquiry to university employees by foregrounding self-construct as a central psychological lens for understanding OCBE, while earlier work, including Ojedokun 2018, established the role of personality traits in student OCB. Comparatively, little attention had been paid to how employees' self-definition shape their discretionary pro-environmental action at work. Participants in this study are staff of Adekunle University. The finding revealed that independent self-construct was possibly associated with eco-civic engagement and eco-helping and eco-initiatives. In contrast, interdependent self-construct was significantly and positively related only to eco-civic engagement. Based on this insight, practical intervention to enhance employees' OCB should deliberately activate both independent and interdependent self-construct. University management can support independent self-construct by empowering staff to initiate eco-friendly practices, recognizing individual environmental contribution, and granting autonomy in sustainability-related tasks. At the same time, interdependent self-construct can be strengthened through team-based environmental programs, collective goal setting, participatory sustainability decision-making, and campus-wide Environmental Committee. Implementing this strategy through management leadership, staff unions, departments, and environmental committee can foster a balanced culture of individual initiative and collective environmental sustainability, thereby enhancing OCB among university employees. Development of measure of nutrient behavior and attitude. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, reliable and valid measurement is the lifeblood of psychological science. Empirical claims and behavioral intervention are only as credible as the instrument on which they are built. Recognizing a methodological gap, the absence of empirically validated tool for assessing literary attitude and literary preferred behavior, I developed and funded the literary attitude scale last in 2015, followed by literary preferred behavior scale in 2016, Ojedokun 2015-2016. These represent the first attempts to develop and validate measure of military disposition and action using an indigenous Nigeria sample. Development and foundation of this scale strengthen the measurement foundation of environmental psychology research, enable precise testing of theoretical models, and equip policymakers with tools in diagnose problem, design targeted intervention, and evaluate behavioral change outcome. In essence, this contribution transforms literary research from rural commentary into measurable science. Since Ojedokun 2015-2016 publication, the last and literary preferred behavior scale have demonstrated sustained usefulness. The literary preferential behavior scale, in particular, has been applied to benchmark behavior change intervention, such as the literary intervention program among students in South African University by USA 2021, confirming its value as a validated, contextually grounded tool. Furthermore, this instrument has been adopted by researchers across Africa, Europe, and Asia to examine psychological determinants of literary attitude and responsible environmental behavior. The last has undergone linguistic translation and back translation for use in non-English setting, including Dutch, Netherlands, C table 9, Urdu, Pakistan, table 10, and Indonesia, extending its cross-cultural applicability. Together, this scale have served not only as reliable tools for theory testing, but also as baseline and evaluative measure in behavior change intervention, public environmental education, and public policy relevant programs, underscoring their practical and scientific contribution in promoting responsible environmental behavior. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the body of work I have presented today represents a sustained and context-sensitive contribution to understanding responsible environmental behavior as a lived psychological and social practice by foregrounding literary present behavior in community and university setting, examining organizational behavior for the environment, and developing psychometrically sound indigenous measure. My scholarship advanced environmental psychology from abstract concern to observable, explainable, and changeable action. Across this domain, I've demonstrated that environmental responsible behavior does not occur by chance. Rather, it is shaped by dynamic interplay of attitude, self-concept, self-efficacy, personality, future-time perspective, emotional process such as eco-anxiety, and the social and institutional environment within which individual act. In doing so, this work provides empirical evidence from Nigerian context that refines theory, strengthens methodological rigor, and bridge the persistent gap between environmental concern and everyday behavior. In concluding, my contribution affirms a simple but powerful proposition. If human behavior lies at the edge of environmental degradation, then psychologically informed behavior change must lie at the heart of environmental solution. By situating behavior within its cultural, institutional, and developmental context, this body of research offers practical pathway for intervention, policy, and education, particularly within communities and universities that serve as incubators of values and future future-oriented action. As a scholar and teacher, I remain committed to a socially responsible psychology that speaks to African reality, equip institutions with evidence-based tools, and empower individuals to act responsibly towards their environment. It is my hope that this work will continue to inspire research, inform policy, and nurture a generation for whom responsible environmental behavior is not an exception, but a shared and enduring norm. Recommendations. Universities, schools, and community organizations should integrate behavior-focused environmental education to actively promote responsible environmental behavior. Social and environmental psychologists should leverage psychosocial and future-oriented factors to enhance and strengthen environmental self-efficacy, positive self-concepts, altruism, and develop self-monitoring and self-regulation skills of residents and students. Universities and students should promote organized citizenship behavior for the environment. Government, society organizations, private sector, and waste management companies should strengthen infrastructure, enforcement, and multi-level engagement. Researchers, policymakers, and practitioners should adopt the littering prevention behavior scale and littering attitude scale to assess, monitor, and evaluate behavioral interventions. Adekunle Ajese University should establish a center for the interdisciplinary study of environmental sustainability and create garbage supermarkets to foster professional capacity in waste management and provide innovative, community-oriented solutions to pressing environmental challenges. Acknowledgements. I could not have accomplished this without the help and support of many people whose names are listed in the booklet. Forgive me for not reading all the names within the limited time I have. I give God glory to Almighty God, the giver of wisdom and the keeper of purpose. Every milestone in my academic journey is testament to divine grace, strength, and unfailing guidance. Without him, this day would not have been possible. I remember with deep gratitude my mother, Madam Fatmat Bintu Abel, who passed on to eternal glory on the 7th January 2009. Though you did not live to witness this moment of my life, your life, labor, and prayer remain deeply inscribed into this achievement. I appreciate my father, Pa Julius Abimbolo Ojedokun, for his educational backing, unwavering support, guidance, and example of integrity and perseverance. I also wish to place on record my appreciation to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Oluyinka, for starting and concluding my promotion as a reader and subsequently pronouncing me a professor. I pray for your sustained success and a safe landing. I should not fail to mention the wife of the Vice Chancellor, Chief Mrs. Oluyinka. Your warmth, goodwill, and kind hospitality is deeply appreciated. Special thanks to the DVC administration, Professor Adebisi Daramola, DVC academic, Professor Phyllis Akewumi, Registrar Mr. Oluyinka Rajulu, Bossa Mr. Tobi Orina FC, and the University Librarian Mr. Yemisi, Dr. Yemisi Olorunfemi. I equally wish to express my profound gratitude to the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Fefemi Mimiko, for his uncommon confidence in me and for appointing me a lecturer in AAUA. I express my sincere gratitude to the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Amos Igbekele for appointing me as the acting head, Department of Pure and Applied Psychology. I also acknowledge with deep appreciation Professor S.K. Balogun and Dr. Gabriel Adetula, who referred me and whose word carried the weight of trust and professional integrity. I remain sincerely grateful for that gesture of confidence which opened the door to my academic journey in this university. I'm grateful to all my primary and grammar school teachers, using Mr. Muraina and Mr. Ojo as point of contact to other teachers who laid the foundation for my academic journey. I remain deeply grateful to my alma mater, the University of Ibadan, for nurturing my intellectual curiosity and shaping my academic identity. I'm indebted to my BSc, MSc, and PhD supervisor, Professor Shingu Kolawole Balogun, for his enthusiasm and supervision all through my academic programs at the University of Ibadan. It was a real privilege and an honor for me to have you as a role model and mentor. I owe an enduring debt of gratitude to my lecturer and mentor at the University of Ibadan, whose scholarship, discipline, and example play a defining role in my academic formation, using Professor Dennis Chima Ugegu as point of contact to others. My thanks also go to GC plus one, Professor Samuel Ekundayo, Professor Peter Olamide Olagbeja, Dr. Sunday Aderemi Opayemi, Dr. Oluwafemi, Dr. Olusoji Popola, and Dr. Bolajoko Elizabeth Madoma. I realized how fortunate I am to have done my PhD research in such an extraordinarily challenging doctoral class. Many thanks to all members of Senate, Adekunle University of Akungbo, too numerous to mention, for their collegiality, mentorship, and commitment to teaching, research, and community service that have created a stimulating and supportive working environment. I'm grateful to Professor Adebukola Adesuyu, the Dean, Faculty of the Social Sciences, and my profound gratitude to all academic and non-teaching staff of the Faculty of the Social Sciences, whose name I have not mentioned here due to time constraint, for their love, encouragement, support, and collegiality. My thanks also go to my postdoctoral hosts, mentors, and friends in various academic institutions. I use Professor Sunday Irabo Demudia as point of contact. Thank you for the opportunity to experience and learn to appreciate the academic life. To my research collaborator, particularly Professor Sola Owonebi, Professor Klaus Bonke, Dr. Omar Osiki, and students past and present, Dr. Benisola Akinwade, Dr. Sulaiman Kayode Ogunṣeni, Dr. Damilola Olabi, Mrs. Tolu Adewole, Mr. Isaiah Shem, and others. You have been co-travelers in this intellectual journey. I wish to sincerely appreciate my students, past and present, classmates, colleagues, friends and family in Nigeria and diaspora for their generous financial support towards this inaugural lecture. I use Prince Adesumbo Adeyemo, United States of America, as point of contact. I could not have reached this milestone without your support. With humility, I'm grateful to Professor Oluyinka Adebowale for reading and editing this lecture at a very short time. Mommy, I appreciate you, ma. My appreciation to my father-in-law, Pastor Solomon Adodo, and my beloved mother-in-law, late Mrs. Cecilia Olunati Adodo. Your prayers, support, goodwill, encouragement, and kindness have been a source of strength, and I'm grateful for giving back to a good daughter who is my wife. I also wish to appreciate my brother and sister-in-laws and their spouses for their support, goodwill, and encouragement. Your warmth, understanding, and sense of family have added to this journey, and I'm grateful to share this memorable occasion with you. For the spiritual support I receive, my appreciation to Pastor Adeda Marabenga, his wife, Mrs. Funke Shuetan, and the entire congregation of the Great Shepherd Redeemed Christian Church, Adeleye Ibadan, for your love, prayers, and encouragement. I also wish to sincerely appreciate my neighbors, landlords, and Adedi at Sosis Adeleye Ibadan, and the entire landlord and Adedi at Adeleye Town Ibadan, for your understanding, goodwill, support, and care for my family while I'm far away in Akumba. Your kindness, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence have contributed greatly to my working far away from home, and I'm truly grateful to all my cousins and nephews and my extended family members, the Edujobi Ojede family of Idaro Ibadan and the Arowo Dana of Inalende Ibadan. Thank you for your constant encouragement, prayer, and believe in my dreams. I'm grateful to my delightful siblings and their spouses, Alhaji Adesola Nurudeen Adelu, Mrs. Adimoti Sadia Aderonke Olaiya, Alhaja Morufat Adewumi Babatunde, Rashida Adeolalawa, Abayomi Sunday Ojedokun, Opeyomi Ojedokun, and others for your genuine love, encouragement, and unwavering support. Your care, prayers, and constant presence have been a source of strength and joy to me. Thanks for your honest inspiration. This life talk will be very tough without your support. To my children, Dr. Oluwadayo Emi Oladuke, Daniel Oluwasemilore Ajibola Adamu, Sharon Oluwamurewa Ayola Abike, and Mabel Oluwafunekemi Ayotola Adike. You are my joy and daily inspiration. You have shared me with my books, research, and students. Yet, you have never withheld your love. Oluwafunekemi, you always ask me, Daddy, why can't you bring that to your office to Ibadan? I believe you now know why I cannot bring my office to Ibadan. I hope this milestone teaches you that perseverance, integrity, and purpose yield lasting rewards. Lastly, to my beloved wife, Omolola Anna Asake, my companion, confidant, cheerleader, and pillar of strength. Words are insufficient. You have borne the unseen sacrifice of this calling, the long hour, the late night, the intellectual preoccupation. Your patience, wisdom, and unwavering love have sustained me. I could not have imagined a better companion to share my academic career with. This achievement is as much as yours as it is mine. Finally, to everyone who has contributed in ways large and small in this journey, mentors, colleagues, friends, administrative staff, and well-wishers, I'm deeply grateful. An academic career may appear individual, but it is, in truth, profoundly communal. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, most distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your attention.
Yeah, hello. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we have our seats? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that was the 56th inaugural lecture of Adekunle Ajashi University, as delivered by a professor of applied social and environmental psychology, Oluyinka, Akanmu, Ojedokun. Please put your hands together for him. The lecture was titled, God Made the Earth, Humans Made the Town. Ladies and gentlemen, before bringing this lecture to a close, it is my honor to bring back to the microphone the chairman of this event, who is also the amiable Vice Chancellor of Adekunle Ajashi University, Akunba Akoko. Please welcome Professor Oluyinka as he gives his closing remarks.
Thank you very much. New comradic languages every time. Let me thank the Student Union of Adekunle Ajasin University. We are happy that you recognize the importance of inaugural lectures. You have always been present in all inaugural lectures. Shows your commitment to the advancement of education in this university. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the 56th inaugural lecture for our university, which has been ably delivered by Professor Ojedokun, Professor of Psychology. And I congratulate you, Professor, yes, for this well-delivered inaugural lecture. Many people will think that psychology is a simple subject. But today, I'm sure you must have seen or heard that psychology is a very difficult subject. It looks at the totality of the environment, our human behavior. I listened from the beginning to the end. And what came to my mind was that this lecture is to reinforce that we should live in harmony with our environment. Mentioned Genesis, where God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, and so on and so forth. Till when it got to verse 28, and it said, "Created man in his own image, and asked man to be in dominion over every other thing that God had created earlier." And so in this lecture, Professor Ojedokun highlighted why we should stay in balanced ecosystem with our environment, whether as individual, whether as a university, whether as corporate entity. That is what I want us to take away from this inaugural lecture this afternoon. Prof, congratulations once again. Let me quickly appreciate those that are here to attend this inaugural lecture. Professor S.O. Afolami, former Vice Chancellor, Augustine University, Ekpe, Lagos, is here with us. Thank you, Prof. Thank you for coming, sir. Professor Olorunleke, Kola Olorunleke, Dean, Faculty of Management Sciences, Federal University, Lokoja, is also here with us. Yes, thank you, Prof. The inaugural lecturer already acknowledged the presence of his family. But let me especially recognize Mrs. Omolola Ojedokun, the wife of the inaugural lecturer. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Dr. Oluwadayo Ojedokun, daughter. Medical doctor? Medical doctor. All right, I will get further details from your father. Shemilori Ojedokun, son, how are you? Yes, welcome. Murewa Ojedokun and Firekemi Ojedokun. Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming. I hope as from today you will not ask Daddy to bring his office to Ibadan. Let me also especially appreciate Mrs. Adebola Ojedokun, the sister-in-law. Thank you very much for coming. Alhaji Adeshola, brother, is also here with us. Thank you very much. Dr. Lukman Oladapo, uncle, is also here. Thank you very much. Alhaji Saibu Raji, who is a brother to the inaugural lecturer. Thank you, sir. Alhaja Iyaruka. Haja Iyaruka. Thank you, ma. Mr. Sunday Ojedokun, brother. Yes, thank you. Mrs. Adebumi Wemimo is also here. Thank you. And all families and friends of the Ojedokuns that are here, we also recognize you and appreciate you all. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also thank our management team, our deans of faculties and directors. Thank you all. Our boys brigade, and the IPPROU, Information and Protocol Unit, distinguished professors, Professor Mrs. Adebowale, former Deputy Vice Chancellor at Adekunle Ajasin University. Thank you for coming, ma'am. Professor Afolabi, the outgoing Director of Academic Planning. Thank you very much. Professor Bolande Ogungbamila, thank you, Director, University Advancement Office. Professor Owulewa, my Dean, thank you. Thank you very much. Professor M. Fashoranti, you are here today. Good afternoon. Yes. She has always been coming. That's great. That's great. I thank you all. Professor Afe, thank you. Department of History. Professor Busui, thank you very much. Department of English. The next inaugural lecturer, Professor Oloni Shakin, Department of Chemistry, is also here. Thank you very much. Professor Benso, thank you for coming. Professor of Philosophy. And our member of council, Professor Akeredolu, thank you, sir, for coming. We have the HOD of the Department of the Inaugural Lecturer. It's also here. Dr. Mrs. Okupamila. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Professor Mrs. Ajidam, thank you for coming. Professor Ojedokun, thank you for, Professor Eludoi. Mommy Ojedokun is Professor Eludoi. It's a mistake. I don't want you to have a high blood pressure. Yes, Professor Adegboro of Health and Kinetics. Thank you very much. Professor Laleye, Philosophy, thank you for coming. Professor Kari, thank you. Thank you. Professor Baji, thank you. Thank you for coming. That's the Professor of Religious Studies. Yes. Thank you, Professor Woni. And sitting next to him, Professor Ogunleye of the same department. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. HOD Public Administration, Jumbo. Thank you. Thank you. And Director, our AAUA Water. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Professor Mrs. Ayimoro of Educational, is it Management or Guidance and Counseling? Adult Education. Yes, Adult Education. Thank you. Benso. Okay, Ben. You're also there. Ben Igoyin. Thank you. Oladipo. Thank you very much. Professor Ihimoyan. Your inaugural lecture is when? May 26. Thank you. You have come to learn. Professor Ayeni, thank you very much. Ogunibido of Health Sciences, thank you. Adewale of Environmental Biology, thank you, and thank you all. The members of the Ceremonies Committee, Professor Simon Hiabi, thank you very much. Thank you. And is the chairman of the Student Union Electoral Committee for 2026. Thank you. Professor Aribibola, yes, I can cite you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Dr. Bolanewa, Right Honorable, we appreciate your coming. HOD Performing Arts, Dr. Abiola, Thank you. Thank you very much. Our former registrar, Dr. Ayenu, thank you for coming. Have I left anybody? Any other heads of department? None. None. Let me use, oh, there is a Professor Dari there. Yes, I use you as a point of contact to all members, other members of staff. To our students, thank you for coming. And then, once again, I announce the 57th inaugural lecturer, Professor Adebisi Oluyinka. Thank you. Thank you. That's March 24, 2026. God bless you all.
Thank you. The student union executives have given American Bosa to the Vice Chancellor. May I request that we put our hands together for our Vice Chancellor? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the 56th inaugural lecture of Akanmu University. May I request that we remain in the hall while the procession of the Vice Chancellor leaves the hall in reverse order. However, shall we rise for the university and the national anthems respectively? Remain standing where you are while the procession of the Vice Chancellor